Okay, so what we're doing is 6.1, the law of sines. And if you have like two angles in a side, so like angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, you can use the law of sines because you've got, you've got your two angles. You basically just need two angles in a side to use this one. If you're given three sides, you would use the law of cosines, which I think is the next section, right? 6.2, I think, is law of cosines. And if you're given side, angle, side, so side, 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 and side, angle, side, you use the law of cosines. I have a handout for y'all I'll give you later on in the class about there's what we call an ambiguous case in the law of sines that we have to be careful about. And so we'll discuss that a little bit more in depth after we just kind of go through some problems that are fine, no problem with them at all. I don't know that they give you very many ambiguous case ones in this book, but I've got a little handout that kind of goes over it a little bit. Okay. Oh, side, side, angle. Do y'all remember from geometry, if you read that one backwards, it's a word you wouldn't say. It's also not a reason for congruency in geometry.
Can we just call it that backwards?
You can think it, but we're not going to say it out loud, But the book even calls it this. It's math books write it this way, but students remember it because if you go backwards, it's memorable. So,
Well, because it's a pain.
yes, it is. So this one is the one that you got to consider two different angles. Usually there's two answers to a problem like that one. And so that's what we call the ambiguous case. And we'll look at that in a little bit. Let's look at some regular problems first, though. Let's see if we're on. Do y'all have one in particular you wanted to go over? Maybe something you tried that was... Okay, so I picked this one just because it had the minutes in it, and I know that's always kind of weird looking when you see it. 80 degrees, 15 minutes is angle A. I'm going to go ahead and label in a different color in a minute, the A, B, and the C. Okay, so here's 28 kilometers. That's the side AC. And then we have this angle. Huh? Oh, yeah, 2.8. I think I said 28, but I wrote 2.8. Okay, thanks. And then this one right here is 25 degrees, 30 minutes. And if you remember the whole minute thing, it's over 60. So instead of putting the fraction over 100 like with the percent, we put it over 60. So let's interpret all that. Let's see. Let me go ahead and put A. That's C, and this is angle B. 25 degrees and 30 minutes would be like 25 and 30 over 60. But 30 over 60 is just a half, right? So couldn't we will just write it. If we want to write it in decimal, we can just do that. 25.5 degrees. That makes it so much easier to work with. And we do need our calculator on this one, so make sure you bring your calculators or you're going to, not be able to work the problems. Because we're out of the whole realm of, the whole point of this chapter is what do you do when it's not a right triangle? Then that's when we need our calculator if we've got these what they call oblique triangles or even acute ones that aren't right triangles. So we have to, with this, now we're going to do a lot of number punching on the calculator. Okay, this angle up here was 80 degrees, 15 minutes. That's the same thing as 80 and 15 over 60. But 15 goes into 64 times, so wouldn't that be 80.25? If you just reduce 15 divided by 60, it's a fourth. So we'll put 0.25. Everybody good? Okay, so now if you remember what you had to do with these, you had to label them. Across from angle A, you called that side A, right? Across from angle B, you called it side B, right? So we'll just write little b. The little letters stand for the sides, the big letters stand for the angles, basically. Across from side C, it's little c. And then the law of sines, this is my favorite one because you don't have, it's basically you make a proportion. You look to see, for instance, I see that I've got angle B. Let me just kind of circle it to highlight it. I've got angle B, and then I've got the side across from it. So when I have an angle on the side across from it, I know that's one I want to use in my little proportion, right? Because what we're doing is basically it's sine of angle A over little a equals sine of angle B over little b equals sine of angle C over little c. And you only need two of them, right? You're only going to choose two of them. They write the formula that way just to show you that you could, you know, choose the whatever two you need to find your missing information. And I know I want to use side B here because I've got the angle on the side. So I'm going to go, okay, well, one of my proportions is going to be, one of my ratios is going to be the sine of this 25.5 degrees, because across from it we have its side length, which is 2.8. Now, what do they want us to find here? Everything? Yeah, when they say solve the triangle, they want everything. So we don't know, let's see. We don't know angle C, so we're missing angle C. We're missing, what, angle A? And we're missing side A. Is that right, or do we have?
We have angle A.
Oh, did I use, oh, that's right, it's 80.15. Okay, so we just need side A. We've got angle A, angle B, and yeah, we're just missing that one side, aren't we? Do we need anything, do we need to use this formula to find angle C, first of all? No, because all the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So let's go ahead and find angle C now. We don't want to do it the hard way. We want to do it the easy way. So let's see, 25.5 and 80.25 added together. That'd be what, 106.25 if I did that right. And so I'll subtract that from 180, and that'll give me angle C. So that's going to be 10, 9, 10. I knew that was 75, but for some reason, 9 minus 6 is 3, is that right? And that's 7 minus 0 is 7. Okay, so our angle C, if we subtract 106.25 from 180, is 73.275 degrees. Okay, so there's one of our answers. And then we're just missing side. Oh, we're missing side A and side C. So I need to find A and I need to find C. That means how many times am I going to need to do this whole ratio thing? No, not that many. Yeah, I would need to do it twice. Once to find A and once to find C. One thing that I would just recommend is, since we had the stuff for angle B, given here, use it in both of them, just because if you make a mistake finding A, for some reason something goes wrong and you mess up a little bit, if you go back to your original ratio, you've got a better chance of getting the side C right, because you're using given information, not something you calculated, just in case, something goes wrong. Okay, so let's find A first. We'll do that one first. So angle A is, 80.25, and we want to find A, and these are really nice to solve because you just cross multiply. Do y'all remember back in junior high, I don't know if anybody ever pointed this out to you, but you always multiply the two numbers that are across from each other, and you end up dividing by the thing across from the unknown. I mean, you could write it down like 2.8 sine 80.25 is equal to A times sine of 25.5, but then you're just going to turn right around to get the A by itself and divide by that thing that was across from it. So if you don't want to write all this out like I'm doing right now, you could just multiply the two things across from each other and divide by the thing across from the unknown, and you could just enter it into the calculator. I'm going to write it out like this here, though, just to show why it works. Okay, so now we're going to go calculate it. So it seems like the consensus was 6.4 here. Oh, it's upside down for me anyway, not for you guys. That's good. So we got A is 6.4. Now we got to go find C, so we need to use, let's see. You could use either one. I would just go back and pick. I would just use the side given that's B, just to be careful, because if we did mess something up, then you'd get both parts wrong and you'd have to go back and redo it. So sine B over B is sine 25.5 over 2.8. And we found out angle C was 73 points. I can't see the slide once I go to a new sheet. So it was sine 25.5 degrees over 2.8. And we're trying to find angle, side C now, and wasn't angle C 73.75 degrees? Okay. Over, we'll call it little c. So we need to do this one. Okay, so I think we get 6.2 there. Basically, you're just making these proportions and you're just seeing what piece is missing, And don't forget, if you're given two angles, you can find the third angle really easily. So really, you should only have to do the proportion twice, even if there's three pieces of missing information here. Okay, so let's see.